National Testing Service India, popularly known as nts-i, is one of the major schemes of the Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. The objective of the NTS is to create a centralized mechanism on quality control in education. It involves the process of evolving regional and national norms, which would in turn facilitate the common reference point in terms of standards and benchmarks. The magnitude of the work involved in this will have to be seen in the light of the number of courses available, number of teachers available, and also the number of students available in the country. So in this background, we are trying to make use of various approaches to reach the people. So one of the approaches that we are trying to adopt is the production of documentary films. All the tests that are conducted across the globe have been collected, consolidated and analyzed by the NTS with reference to their purposes. It was concluded that all these tests can be classified into the three broad categories, one each on aptitude test for admission purposes, achievement test for certification purposes, and proficiency test for employment purposes. Apart from these three documentary films, which are highly specialized in nature, there is also another general evaluation documentary meant for the common people who could get some basic ideas about not only the National Testing Service but also certain areas of testing and evaluation.
When we see a young boy like this trying to play violin on his own, we say that he has some inborn talent about music. In a way, it's an inherent potentiality of this boy to play violin. It's also called innate ability or competence in a particular area. This boy has competence in skating. Rather, it's an interest of a person in that particular domain. This young fellow is having fun to play with colors. Now, this woman is a visitor to the city. Because of her interest in visiting various places, she is exploring geography of this place by reading the map. Various qualities like these can be nurtured or modified by training. Qualities like these are nothing but the aptitude of a person. It's a predictability of future performance. it's a mental or thinking process.
In general, people understand the aptitude as intelligence, sometimes general intelligence. This is nothing but capability or the one's capacity, we can say. Aptitude is not usually identified in isolation. Aptitude in language, aptitude in literature, aptitude in engineering, aptitude in medical, this way. So, aptitude is always domain based. Here the dimensions of aptitude are perceived as predictability of future success of a person in a particular course or in a particular job. So, the predictability is usually considered as one of the dimensions of aptitude. You know, aptitude is a mental process. We can say it as a thinking process, and in the education field that it is called as a cognitive process. So, people are perceiving the aptitude in different ways depending upon their own understanding, and that is the reason I am telling that it has to be only perceived, because it is a mental process. It has to be perceived or visualized or derived on the basis of certain activities.
In the field of education, when the suitability of a student is identified for the admission for a particular course, it's nothing but the aptitude of the student for that course. The suitability or inclination of the potential of a person to learn a particular thing or skill or acquire knowledge is known as aptitude. The way this woman is applying herself to decorate her house, she is using her potential of interior designing out of her interest. In other words, it refers to the student's readiness for learning, or one can say aptitude is individual's ability to acquire a particular or general talent which he or she has not yet acquired. So, aptitude of a person varies according to the domain or subject. National Testing Service India has perceived the concept of aptitude, which comprises of 5 major components. 1. Comprehension. 2. Application. 3. Analysis. 4. Synthesis. 5. Creativity. To understand intricacies of aptitude, we will go through all the components of aptitude identified by NTS step by step to get a clear idea about the concept. The first major component of aptitude is comprehension. Comprehension means the power of understanding, which would form the basis for the development of other higher order abilities. Here, 2 boys are watching the birds and animals in the forest and try to understand the behavior and life of birds in comparison with other animals. This is a process of reasoning, relating functional relationships to real-life situations, rephrasing, translating, interpreting, and drawing references. This act of comprehension comprises of collect, store, and recall. These are all mental processes. So, if in test, if a question is asked as, a bird swims in the water, walks on earth, but rarely flies in the air, which bird is this? The answer will be duck. This question tests the comparison subcomponent of comprehension.
So it's a big challenge. For instance, couple of 1,000 students apply, and we have to select just a couple of hundred. So how do you filter them? And I think for a large perspective selection process, that core is important. And what that core is, essentially we want to judge whether that student has right aptitude, has right attitude, and has right knowledge, interest. So all these need to be properly tested. And how do you test it? So we have entrance tests.
Second major component of aptitude is application. Application is the process of claiming and using abstraction, that is, theories and principles in particular and concrete situations. Under application, the abstracts may be in the form of general ideas, rules of procedures, or generalized methods. It comprises of associate, extend, verify, and transfer.
See, each stream, for example, the law stream, would have people who would be evaluated on 5 different sections. One is the logical reasoning, second one is the legal reasoning, third one is the analytical reasoning, fourth one is reading comprehension, and fifth one is general knowledge. Now, that is something which has been devised by the university by keeping the law faculty into matter. Similarly, for the engineering, we are primarily looking at normally the subjects which matter for engineering, which is physics, chemistry, and maths. So that's the entrance criteria. And for health sciences, it is physics, chemistry, and biology because it's the health sciences piece.
This boy is the son of mobile mechanic. He's trying to dismantle the mobile kept by his father, recalling his father's work in the shop. This is nothing but an inclination towards analysis, the third major component of aptitude. Analysis is the process of breaking down a problem into its constituent parts. It is also perceived as an act of analyzing the constituents under 3 subcategories, namely elements, relationships, and organizational principles. While analyzing, one breaks down the problem into its constituent parts. It involves identification, scrutinizing, deducting, and interpretation. Analysis helps to solve the problem and gets the total know-how of the situation. The next important component of aptitude is synthesis. Synthesis is the process of putting together, generalizing or interpreting the information, procedures that may be scattered to form a new structure. This man puts together various information, organizes it, and through his network presents the best results. Synthesis comprises of organize, network, induct, present. To test synthesis of a student, question can be asked like, group the following under the institutions: family, religion, and education. The answer will be like this. This tests the organized subcomponent of synthesis. The last component of aptitude is creativity. It is the act of giving rise to new and imaginative ideas. It generates ideas, theories, poems, plays, symphonies, and thus enables to produce something original. Creativity comprises of imagination, innovation, manifestation, illumination. If a question is asked, write a short story using the following words: crow, pitcher, water, pebbles, summer, thirst, midday. Then this question will test the imagination of the student. If a question is asked, what will happen when the petroleum products get exhausted? He should answer like, A. We may use solar energy. B. We may use battery bikes. Then it will test innovation of the student.
So a student should have a basic understanding of engineering principles. That's what we are testing in our examination. Have a good analytical and mathematical skills, along with some experimental skills, and also some communication, good communication skills. These are the features which we try to test through our GATE examinations. So the entrance to IIT, for example, I'll say IIT Bombay, GATE is a qualifier, correct? But it's not necessary that if someone has not done well in GATE, he or she cannot get admission to GATE. There are different modes of coming into IIT with the GATE score. So it acts like a screening test for us, a benchmark.
NTS has made an attempt to understand the concepts of aptitude, achievement, proficiency on the one hand, and the actual requirements of the country, for example, admission, certification, and employment on the other hand. We made an in-depth analysis on the basis of which we have identified the major, minor subcomponents of the object. That means object means in case of admission test, the aptitude becomes the object. Then we make major, minor subcomponents that constitute the aptitude. In case of certification test, the achievement becomes the object. Then we are trying to identify what constitutes the achievement, the major component, minor component, subcomponent, etc., along with the dimensions. So is the case with the employment oriented tests. So those tests are called that proficiency tests. So we are taking proficiency and that making an analysis, major components, minor components, subcomponents that constitute the concept of proficiency and the corresponding dimensions. So these structural elements, components and the dimensions are clearly defined, and after defining them, for each of the component we are trying to create a model question so that this would pave a way for others to follow and understand the differences, and also to adapt it in their own situation. So this is what NTS is trying to do.
If all the components explained earlier are put together, then it forms the aptitude of a person. Each person on this planet is unique and hence has his or her aptitude in different fields or domain. So when a student wants to learn a particular course, it becomes necessary to test whether his or her aptitude is suitable for that course or not. Actually, from very small age, children start exhibiting their inclinations, potentials, or aptitude. But we, the people around them, sometimes take it as a fun or ignore them as a child game. Parents and teachers are the people who can notice the child's aptitude. When it comes to failure of admission of some course, many students, parents, and teachers take it as a failure of the student. But in fact, it just indicates that it's a non-suitability of that person in that particular domain of study.
You know, when the GATE question papers are set, we try and give instruction to the question setters to explore as much as possible the person's interest in that particular field. So, for example, we would not like to have questions which are something that is, you understand by rote or by, just it's there in the book. The answer may be obvious, but it's not written down. In the sense, it is something that you have to deduce from whatever basic things you have learned. So, this is the kind of question we encourage the paper setters to set.
A common admission test is all about checking your managerial skills. So basically I am preparing for how to improve my comprehension skills, my ability to interpret from given data.
Like Sachin, number of students all over the country are appearing for various tests of admissions. These prevalent admission tests many a times tests only the knowledge base of the students and hence lost its real purpose. The NTS suggests conducting these tests in such a way that all the 5 components of aptitude should be tested and hence will test the real competence of the students in the examinations. This will benefit to the students, since this mechanism will preserve the real interest of the students, and it will also benefit the institutions, because it will identify the competent students for that particular course.
The competence becomes performance. So competence is aptitude, performance is proficiency, in between whatever happens is the role of education. So that the role of education is to make a person to achieve the competence into performance. So whatever the role played by education is achievement. That means achieving this aptitude into proficiency, achieving competence into performance, achieving cognitive ability into psychomotor ability, achieving ability into skill. That the entrance test, you must have heard that entrance test or admission test, these tests are all aptitude test only. The purpose here is to procure admission. The achievement test is whether a particular process has been adopted to achieve one thing or achieve a particular thing from the starting point to the end point. So that is called achievement test. And then whatever the product comes, so if you prepare any test to check whether that product has come out well, so that is called proficiency test.
When aptitude of a student is identified and he is admitted for a particular course, then he achieves the knowledge of the particular course. So, the concept of achievement differs from the concept of aptitude. Similarly, when a well-trained student sharpens his knowledge to use it in actual practice, then he becomes proficient. Again, this concept of proficiency differs from the concept of aptitude. Today in India, almost all the institutions, universities, colleges conduct the aptitude test for admissions. Since various course providers are conducting the tests, each test should be able to find out the potential of the student in that particular domain, and not just the knowledge of the student up to the standard he had studied. Any society requires all sorts of professionals for its sustenance. With modern changing times, even new professions popping up on horizon. Education system is providing various courses to fulfill the need of the society. So, the good quality testing of the aptitude for that particular discipline will encourage the admission of right candidate and hence enhance the quality of professionals in the society. This way, understanding aptitude plays a vital role in the field of education.